The Alberta government is borrowing $2 billion just to keep the lights on in Alberta homes. You see, hidden deep in the latest Alberta budget, the one that plunges Alberta over $71 billion in debt by 2020, is the fact that the government is borrowing $2 billion just to cover the growing losses in the electricity balancing pool. I've talked about the balancing pool at length before. It's sort of the middleman. It's a little complicated, but it's a government agency that acts as the contract holder between the power generators and the companies that sell Albertans our power. And there's a clause in those contracts that says that if the government does something crazy to make those power contracts unprofitable or more unprofitable, the power generators can return them all to the balancing pool. As in the balancing pool, this public agency would be on the hook for the entirety of any mess the government makes. And the NDP's carbon tax did just that. When the NDP carbon tax coal-fired electricity generation, a bunch of those power contracts turned to junk. And the balancing pool started bleeding cash all over the place, up to $70 million per month. So in this latest budget, the NDP, they tried to fix all the damage their green tinkering has done by borrowing $2 billion to lend to the balancing pool. The government says they're lending this money to the balancing pool to keep the losses from being added onto Albertans' power bills. Apparently, it's supposed to be just a loan, and the balancing pool is supposed to pay all of it back by around 2030. But how can they? The balancing pool is still losing $17 million per month, and actually, it's far worse than that. We found out through Freedom of Information requests we filed with the Alberta government that the balancing pool was going to be insolvent without a cash injection as early as late last year. Look at this email. It's from Ben Chappelle. He's the manager of strategy at the balancing pool. The email reads, "The balancing pool has approximately $580 million on hand today. We expect the fund will likely be depleted by year end, and there is a reasonable chance we will have to collect from consumers. Hopefully that addresses the immediate question." And here, in a letter to the absentee and often invisible Energy Minister Marg McQuaig-Boyd, William Stedman, the chair of the balancing pool, wrote this: "The board has begun contingency planning for insolvency. Unless alternative financing is provided very soon, we will not be able to meet our ongoing expenses. We are preparing to stop funding in October or November all non-essential expenditures." So the NDP just lent $2 billion borrowed dollars, money Alberta doesn't have and can't afford, to cover the losses the NDP caused through their own actions at a government agency that is almost or totally insolvent. Oh, and that government agency is, of course, still losing money. Like always, I'll be sure that we attach these documents so you can see for yourself. The government knows very well the balancing pool is pretty well broke or broke already, but they're lending them money anyway. What do you think the prospects are of Albertans ever seeing this $2 billion paid back to them? As likely as Joe Ceci actually balancing a budget, maybe? It's going to cost Albertans $2 billion to fix a problem that never had to happen. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunreid. To find more of my independent investigations into the Alberta government, go to whatissehiding.com and donate today.